Hello guys, I'm back behind the camera. So I've been taking a break from the internet for a while. Obviously I've still been going on it a bit. But I decided to stop making videos a few months ago. And so I went back on and I saw my YouTube account today. And I've seen quite a few comments of people saying, "Where have you gone? Like, why have you stopped making videos?" Not being mean, just asking. I guess I was making videos regularly, like every few days for about a year. And then I stopped. So my girlfriend, she got back from India. And she'd been on a 6-month ascension meditation retreat. And ascension meditation is like, it's from the same lineage as transcendental meditation. And she was meditating for... 1 second. She was meditating for up to 8 hours a day, every day for 5 months or something like that. And I introduced her to this practice, ascension meditation. I introduced her to the guy who taught me this meditation, Ishtar. And she went and did his teacher training and was out there just really diving into it. And she got back and she'd gone through a pretty significant, pretty profound change in her way of being, in her emotional state. She was very traumatized and emotional before, and it really shifted things for her. So I was going to go on that training, but I didn't end up going in the end, and she went instead. And it inspired me to really dive into that practice more deeply. So since August, I've been doing 4 to 8 hours a day of ascension meditation, which is this mantra practice. And I've also been going through a lot of internal challenge and difficulty. A lot of difficulty within my body, and a lot of stress, a lot of, I guess, trauma is coming to the surface. And so it's felt very challenging in lots of ways. But it's interesting for me to see that, having not made a video for 3 months or something, the difference in how I am now compared to how I was a few months ago. And even though on the surface I'm going through a lot of challenge, and my girlfriend will attest to this, I'm being a bit of a nightmare at the moment. I noticed when sitting down to make this video that there is a deepening has taken place. And I don't know what's caused this deepening. I guess doing 4 to 8 hours of meditation a day probably leads to a deepening. But it's also the suffering, the struggle, the pain, the difficulty. Pain and difficulty, it can take you in 2 directions. It can take you well, it can take you in a few directions. It can immobilize you and have you feeling stuck and like a victim, and you just want to lie in bed all day, and you just do lie in bed all day, or you watch Netflix all day, or get distracted in addictions and that sort of thing. Or it can drive you outwards. And there's nothing wrong with this, or suffering or struggle can drive us outwards. I need to change my life. I want to live a better life. I want to create a better life for myself, so we can go out and we can hit the gym, we can improve our body, we can make more money, buy more healthy foods, we can do different buy new clothes, we can get a new car, we can go traveling, go on holiday, strive to set up a business or whatever it is. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with suffering propelling us to change our life, because sometimes we just do need to change our life. But also, suffering can propel us in a different direction as well. Suffering and struggle can propel us into a different direction. Suffering, struggle and difficulty, and anyone who's been experiencing trauma, and lots of people on this channel have trauma and anxiety and panic. It's such a challenge, but it's one of these challenges that nobody else sees. The internal challenges that we're on this healing path, on this spiritual path, if we're experiencing a lot of nervous system difficulties or emotional challenges or anxiety and this sort of thing, nobody sees that. You don't get any recognition for that. You don't get a medal for what you're going through. You don't get praised, really, for what you're going through. You don't get praised for the spiritual inner work that you're doing. But there is so much wealth and so much richness within it for yourself. And sometimes we're just in it. We're just in it. We don't realize a deepening is taking place. But whenever you're suffering, if you have this strong intention to awaken, if you have this strong intention to be free, and if you have this strong intention to look inside and to uncover the peace that is beyond this struggle, beyond this suffering, if that is your intention, then all the suffering, all the struggle, all the difficulty on the surface of your body and mind is actually a deepening. It's actually a deepening. I've said this quote before on the channel, but it's coming to me again. It's from my teacher, Ananta Kranti, and she says, we didn't come here to planet Earth for life to be all pretty, sweet and easy, so we can just come here and have a good time. We came here to realize. We came here to discover the depths of what we are. We come here to this planet where there's such a density and so much suffering within the collective human mind. We come here because it is a potent, it's a potent field for awakening. I'm being reminded of this interview I watched of this guy. I can't remember his name, I might write it in the comments below. But he was on a Batgap interview, and I was listening to it, and he can remember where he was before he came to planet Earth. He can remember where he was before he came to planet Earth. and he remembers kind of walking along with all of these beings up in the astral plane or heaven or whatever you want to call it. And then he came across this one being who was so bright, 1,000 or 10,000 times brighter than every other being there. And he asked this being, like, "Oh my God, why are you so bright? Why are you so light? How are you so evolved? Why are you shining so brightly compared to everybody else here?" And this being said to him, "I had one life where I suffered on planet Earth." I had one life where I suffered on planet Earth. And even though it can feel hard when we're in it, and I think especially this time of year, lots of people are feeling these internal challenges even more deeply, because this time of year is a time to go inwards. So we can notice these things more. They become more intensified. And I was singing a song on my guitar yesterday, or a couple of days ago. And I was kind of making up some lyrics, and it was coming to me that in my own experience, if I'm going through a lot of difficulty and especially if I'm, there's challenges in my relationship because of what I'm going through and things like that, I can get this sense that, or this feeling that somehow I'm weak because of this. Somehow I'm weak because of what I'm going through. But actually, what if the people who are going through the most challenge, what if the people who have this challenge of anxiety or trauma or whatever it is, these challenges that can make you feel weak, they can make you feel weak because they stop you from functioning in the way that a lot of people can easily function. Lots of people can easily function in a way when they're not that sensitive. When people aren't as sensitive, they can easily function in a way that appears much more strong. And so if you're going through this evolutionary process, this awakening process, and you have a lot of these nervous system challenges going on and that sort of thing, then you can get the feeling that you're weak. But what if actually you're not weak? What if this process of being in this body, this sensitive body, is your mountain to climb? What if that is your equivalent of climbing Mount Everest? And what if that is harder than climbing Mount Everest? And what if you are stronger for it than somebody who close climbed Mount Everest, or at least as strong as someone who climbed Mount Everest? Because the person who climbs Mount Everest chooses to do that. They train for that. They choose that. And they know it starts here, it ends here. The person who's working really hard to build up a business and it's becoming so successful and all of this, they're choosing that. The person struggling or suffering with these internal challenges as in part in the awakening process or in life in general, isn't necessarily choosing that, and it can have been going on for a long time, and it can take a lot of courage to keep going. It can take a lot of courage to keep faith. can take a lot of courage to come back into the body, to stop running away from ourselves, to continuously come back to feeling, to continuously come back to meeting ourselves, courageously meeting ourselves with attention, with love. Anyway, this is where I am. I'm in a little cabin in Nailsworth, near Stroud in the Cotswolds. Meditating a lot, going to be continuing to meditate a lot until around April time, when I'm opening an in-person centre where we're going to have a big workshop space, and we're going to be running workshops, and we're going to have a shop downstairs and a juice bar and cafe and that sort of thing. So that's in the works. So yeah, I'm going to be slowly coming out of the woodwork, setting up this new business with Alex, who many of you know. And we're going to be running a anxiety recovery course. It's going to start in the next few weeks, probably the first week of February. This came about, I wasn't planning on doing anything. Alex asked me if I wanted to do a course, and I kind of said no. I was just wanting to concentrate on my own process. And then I went into a supplement store in town, and I heard a conversation between this woman and the guy in the shop, and she was really struggling with this fight and flight within her system, and she was asking, like, which supplements are going to help, which supplements can help this fight and flight. And supplements can help it a little tiny bit, but really there's no miracle cure in that way. We need to learn to meet ourselves with love. We need to really learn to courageously meet ourselves with love. And so that kind of felt a little bit serendipitous, if that's the word. And yeah, they were talking about how loads of people are experiencing this. All of the anxiety and nervous system support supplements had gone off the shelves. So it inspired me to do this course. So yeah, I'll put details about that soon if you wanted to join. And if you're in the Cotswolds area, then we'll be having in-person workshops and kirtans and all sorts of good stuff coming up as well. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be making loads of videos on here. Yeah, it's felt quite good today to record, so I might keep going with it. Yeah, good to connect with you. I hope you're all doing well, and at some point I will be back on it, making regular videos again. Yeah, so I'll leave you with that song that I made up a couple of days ago. I've only got the chorus, really. I've only got a little bit of it, but I'll play it. They say God gives his hardest battles to his strongest warriors. What if your suffering and pain isn't simply here to hurt you, my love? What if you're not weak, my darling? What if you're not weak, my darling? What if you're not weak, my darling? You're a warrior. What if you're not weak, my darling? What if you're not weak, my darling? What if you're not weak, my darling? You're a warrior. What if you're not weak, my darling? What if you're not weak, my darling? What if you're not weak, my darling? You're a warrior. What if you're not weak, my darling? What if you're not weak, my darling? What if you're not weak, my darling? You're a warrior. Who said that you came here simply to have a good time? What if, my darling, you came here simply to realize? What if all your pain and heartache is here to bring you closer, closer to your soul? What if all your pain and heartbreak is simply here to bring you closer to your soul, to bring you back? What if you're not weak, my darling? What if you're not weak, my darling? What if you're not weak, my darling? You're a warrior. What if you're not weak, my darling? What if you're not weak, my darling? What if you're not weak, my darling? You're a warrior. Thank you. I just added some bits to that as I was going. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. Take care. Hope you have a nice day, evening. Much love.